Growing up for me was in 2-3 phases. The first one was the early childhood, where I grew up under my parents. I was there till around 12 before I entered secondary school. Up to my 12th year, it was the normal growing up under your parents. You are just roller coasting and there were no worries. Then when I entered secondary school, that's the Loyola College Ibadan, it was a mix of the rich, the not so rich, and the poor. But what stood the school out in Ibadan was the fact that there were brilliant kids there, and that kind of birthed some dreams and aspiration in me. So after leaving secondary school, of course, I passed out in flying colors. I passed my WAEC in the first attempt, which was not common at that time. And prior to that time, I did GCE at Form 4, which I also passed all my papers. I think I had 1A and all other credits, so that set me up for what is to come. I was supposed to have attended UI, but the course I was given was not a course of my dream, so that's why I had to venture to Polytechnic Ibadan. And so when I finished secondary school, I decided to take a journey to where I thought was a better world. And so one holiday like that, one of my aunts came to the house and she was coming to Lagos. And I requested, can I follow you? She didn't know what I was up to. And when I got to Lagos, we were going to my uncle's place. That's my mom's younger brother, who I used to see he was a role model to me. He was someone I quite admire. His style, his appearance, and all that were things that kind of endeared me to him. So when I got the chance to visit him with my aunt, I was well behaved deliberately because I wanted to have a chance to stay longer than I'd planned and all that. So they allowed me to stay with them throughout the third term long holiday. And when it was time to go back to Ibadan, I requested, can I continue to stay with them? And the wish was granted. So that was how my journey to Lagos began. One thing I gained living in Festac is that immediately I entered our institution, I started my professional exams. And by the time I was finishing the HND, I think I had a paper left to qualify as an accountant. It was a time when if you fail a paper, you fail all in ICANN, so it was really tough. But I can tell you, from when I started till the final stage, I didn't have to repeat any paper. Of course, at the final stage, I was shown the red card. I failed the paper marginally, and I had to redo it. And when I redid the paper, just one paper, I failed it woefully. And so the other 3 papers were returned to me. So it was last stage, but I had to redo the 4 papers. And of course, I had to take a pause for a diet. We call the exam time a diet, and I was able to read, prepare, and when I did the exam, the diet after that one, I was able to make it. And by the time I was finishing, it was time to go and serve. So I was able to brandish my HND certificate, my ICANN results to look for a job. One thing that stood out for me is the fact that I never had to look for a job like that. So one of the days I was going out distributing my CV, looking for a job and all that, I met a man that called my name, Adigun, and I had to look back. When he beckoned me to come to him, he wound down his glass. I was kind of afraid, agidingly. I just left Cadbury's Nigeria Limited to drop my CV. And he said, what are you looking for? I said, I'm looking for a job and all that. He said, do you know Alhaji Adigun? That's my father, you know. I said, yes. Who are you? And he brought out his card. He said, see me the next day. He was the MD of a company called Afriagicom Traders and Exporters. He happened to be a child of a tenant of my dad at one point. And I think when his parents left our house, he stayed back in our house because it was within the same age range with my brothers and things like that. So, and that gave me my first job. I didn't have to look for it. And what that also gave me was that I had peace of mind. I could look for a bigger job. I could dream better and all that, you know. And so after spending like 11 months with him, I'd gotten like 5 jobs. I got like 5 jobs at a time, you know, 2 banks, 2 insurance, and 1 distributing company and all that. So I opted to join UTB at that time, Universal Trust Bank. And that was where I started my career in what I've become today. I trained as an accountant, but I ended up being a salesperson. I've done sales all my life since that time. And I see myself being able to give more into the society, into the less privileged, more into impacting lives and all that. And for me, that's the major thing. So when we say being big, to me, being big doesn't really talk about money in your account, but having people that you can call, having people that care for you genuinely. And I would say I'm blessed with that, both within my immediate family and even within the people that I work with. Motivation to succeed. For me, the first motivation to succeed is the need to help people. When I help people, I'm very happy. When there's a help to be made or to be given, if I'm not able to do it, I'm one of the saddest human beings. So I look forward to, but it's not like I go out to look for just anybody to help. I look for vessels that you help and also can become a helper of people. And that is a major thing for me. I always say something, I'm not sure I spend up to 1% of the money I make. Not because I don't need that money, but I'm not such that really goes out to expend a lot on myself. Whatever money I make, after taking care of my family, I look for people that has a need, the downtrodden, the less privileged. And one thing I also do is that those help are done anonymously. A lot of people that I've given one or two things to, they don't even know it came from me, because number one, I don't want you to see me as an object of your redemption. I want you to always continue to focus on God. The number two is the fact that if I don't do it, somebody else will do it. So if I have the chance, why don't you do it? So for me, that's success for me when I'm able to resolve problem, especially for people that don't even have any knowledge of me, that don't even know I exist, but they're able to get a smile on their face. My most memorable moments, the first most memorable moment I have was the day I passed ICANN. I mean, it was just out of this world. When I checked the result, I saw my name. I forgot to take a taxi back home. I started walking, And when I came to my senses to take the taxi, it was those days that you share taxi with people. I had to pay for everybody inside that taxi, That was a great one for me. Then the other one was the birth of our first child. It was the first time I was seeing a birth process. When I saw his head, I ran out, and that was a big one for me. And I just look at my wife, and that also put some thoughts into my heart. There and there, I knew that we weren't going to have many children, because I just believe that somebody should not go through this a lot of time. Of course, a lot of other ones. The day I got my first job, the day I bought my first car, I couldn't sleep. I had to go and be looking at the cover, throughout the night before the morning. And hey, there are lots of good memories, but those two stood out for me very well. Of course, the one I can also talk about was our first trip abroad as a family,